She has many novels for young adults to her credit. She was recently awarded the Rule Prize for her work with the international poets group Rejected Stuff. As she said in her acceptance speech, "It was prose which I thought was my cup of tea, but ever since joining Rejected Stuff, poetry insinuated its way into tea marked as sugar." Also with Dan Phan, who is an award-winning novelist, poet, and essayist based in Hanoi, Vietnam.
Santosh. Autumn in a beleaguered homeland, Kashmir. Some September, and I remember the autumn hues of my homeland, Kashmir. I can still hear the rustle and fall of the chinar leaves, which try to soothe the heart which grieves for an idyllic past. Sitting so far away from my homeland, under the shade of the Gayabar tree, I recall the tiny bird, merry and free, perched atop the tree sheathed in red and gold hues. This speck of vibrant color trills and trills, a peace message to humanity which kills and kills. As though in a somnambulistic trance, my eyes see the leaves which dance, swirling and whirling like dervishes. I walk the roads littered with leaves, hoping that these roads lead to peace. How my heart grieves and yearns for an idyllic past. Anguish moves through on tiptoe, a burning progression not unlike the autumnal fire of the chinar leaves. Needle-sharp feet tread across my heart, but the lusty chirping of cicadas and the weeping willows heal the heart that grieves and grieves for the idyllic past. The leaves flutter and fall to the ground and wreath or red carpet. Is it to welcome the elusive peace? As green turns to gold, I see the anglers happily angling away from a world which forever is wrangling. And my heart tender yearns for the spectacular splendor of the idyllic past. Nature flaunts its new attire. The chinar trees, all afire, rekindle the dormant fire, and dreams are resuscitated from the pier. They dance around the chinar leaves, putting a balm on a heart which grieves for the idyllic past. Gloating over their offspring, red-cheeked, the apple orchards are all abloom. Where is the room for anguish or gloom? Migratory birds are all afoot. The brown trout, stout and bitter. The frolicking fish, feisty and fun, with their spunky mischief drowning the roar of a gun. The autumn season does not lament the falling leaves, but gives the healing touch to a heart that grieves. Yes, with a resilience rare, these fallen leaves will rise again and adorn the trees once again, resolutely removing the suffering and pain, adding their note to a world symphony, lulling all warmongering to a deep sleep, and healing the heart which no longer grieves. Santosh Patel. And the next resource is where the love story unfolds at the river leader. Yesterday, I again dreamt I was in Kashmir at the banks of the river leader, pacing one step hither and two steps thither, intrigued by the wavelets that rippled and roared, my mind slack, merrily I strolled. Drowning the distant sound of a gun, gilded by the rays of the setting sun, a solitary, snow-white cloudlet looked down upon me, cruising along in a mood cheerful and free. its black wings the warm night spread with cautious tread, the stars overhead coming out of hiding, and the moon came riding. Majestically on the back of a cloud like an emperor proud, the night took the river in an embrace tight. With voyeuristic curiosity, the stars were alight. In a frenzy of excitement, each other the waves pounded. The trees were momentarily dumbfounded. Out of the night's embrace, sheepishly, the river tried to wiggle, and the naughty wavelets tried to smother many a giggle. But soon, the trees recovered their loquacity, sloughing and rustling ditty after love-laced ditty, under the eye of a moon-faced monarch, sparkled the absolutely bewitched etchings on the pine bark. Snugly engraved within a heart pierced with arrows, in strokes bold, a sublime love story. They unfold, they retold, as onwards I strode. The music of love, the wind melted out. Love never dies. This was their music, all about. The stars winked and whispered. The waves made catcalls, burying many a hatchet, nipping and sipping brawls. The triple alliance of the stars, waves, and trees, from my troubled forehead, removed many a crease. The river snuggled in the arms of the night, splashing and murmuring its passion at its height, whispering sweet nothings under a dark, undulating covers, breathing nothing but love, snugly cuddled passionate lovers. And as I dreamt on, the Trinity cheered on this love story. The next is by Dame Finn, Tet Season in Vietnam. Tet Season in Vietnam, the first lunar month comes along with a gang market of metal tools, paddles swinging on the way to pagodas, wishing a fruitful crop, elbowing to temples, dreaming about thunderclaps, lightning sense. Spring comes as appointed, lanterns lighted, hearts blowing horns like a drunken state aloft, glad of the poetry fest, raising a call for a month's holiday, a beto entree and wine in a jar, in a dim, immense heaven on earth. Oh me, why in the middle of all these, startled by the drum, shivered by the symbol-like moon, shining to show off its tranquility, bright love, swift as an arrow, a monk's frock flutters, while the smoke spreading from a paper-boated offering for a wish to be true, a dream out of the blue wahoo, a trio, a heaven-earth man band, keeping smiling, making flowers fresh and fruits deep, time galloping by the window, Apollo hastily paints sun rays, a love boat sets forth to the sea, a love song is heard from far away amidst the infinite, removing the trails of another story, alas, so boring. And this is one of my names. Legacy saplings, a tanka for Japan. 2 groves, a cartographer's dream. Your blossoms, a sudden sweetness. Here, your open-handed gifts thrive under our militant sun. Cherry blossoms, dreams. Cherry blossoms, heavy water, fall from legacy saplings. In a moment, the earth grows and met the sea. Time's idea meets your blossoms. A sudden sweetness, our pinks singed by snow. And this, because they they were blooming was the time of the tsunami in Japan. So their cherry blossom trees were also blooming and dying at the same time our cherry blossoms were blooming, and I think it was snowing. You know, so I was all cherry blossoms. You know, I didn't get any snaps anyway. Peace. Christmas bombings, 72. Peace, once shouted from the housetops and chanted in the churches, is a single, hushed, sadly murmured plea for sanity, now more than ever. And back to Setash. You go there, I'll be somewhere here. The 12-year-old told his 8-year-old brother, wiping a tear, if I get killed, at least you will be there to look after sister and the baby, he said, taking him in a barrel. In 2 different directions they ran skelter, one in a church, the other in a school to cover. Their hearts overflowing with concern for their sister and baby small. When they left, the small baby was playing casually with a doll. The 8-year-old bent down to tend to a blister. Ah, how he missed the tiny baby and his 15-year-old sister. Now the boys waited for what exactly they themselves did not know. Alas now, from above descended the foe. And in this crossfire of hate, both boys were killed. 2 tiny voices forever still. Toxic fumes in the air left. Sitting on the rubble, a 15-year-old girl copiously wept. In her arms, a tiny bundle, whose eyes were closed, but hair shone like gold. The baby was 14 months old. Thick black smoke rose in the air. There was a helter-skelter confusion of limbs, books, and toys, a bizarre fusion. In a corner lay an unclaimed bat, watched over by a lonely, heartbroken cat, and a doll which continued to smile, oblivious to the rampant malevolence, mendacity, murder, and guile. Asylum, another sleepless night, and bad television is still not calming. My mind is drifting back to Charlie and his blue plastic boat, shared at St. Vincent Orphan Asylum in Chicago. His hair was wondrously full, and he made my belly laugh as we waited and drifted. The dormitory cribs were far different from the blue vinyl mats on the concrete floor of the women's wing of the shelter. Each places a shelter and transit and end time at any time. And I see these pictures of children stacked up like cordwood, relatively safe compared to the Pakistani children stacked up like cordwood in ox carts after a drone attack. It is difficult to shut off these images on the screen of the mind's eye. The browser sticks and keeps refreshing itself. In the morning, I must go out the door and decide to be alive. Like never before, tank shells struck a hospital outside, wounding 60 and killing 4. Inside her small house, the mother waited, petrified, terrified of what was in store. Rescue workers pulled bodies out of the wreckage of an airstrike, adding some more numbers, some tragic numbers to the collateral damage of senseless gore. Inside, the terrified mother waited. Herself, she berated, for having earlier been stern to her grandcat. Do not go out to play, she had to scream at them, the rising tide of panic trying to stem. some noise at the door and some weird, nondescript roar. Toward the door she raced. Yes, she knew they were waiting to be embraced. They always come back yelling and screaming to her, "Mom, we're out back!" As though a victory they had scored. But now it was she who screamed like never before, screamed louder, louder than ever before, screamed for them, screamed for what was left of them. In a stupor, anguished, she gathered the tiny thing to her breast. There were lacerations and bruises on his little chest. Yes, it was a thing, a weird thing, a thing which just an hour back was the king of her household. Now the thing had been reduced to nothing. Pierre's locks were golden. Who had painted them red instead? On the floor, the 5-year-old lay. On his side lay his 8-year-old sister. The dazed mother bent down and kissed her. Do you have any clue why her frock, which was blue, now has a new hue? And where is my son's shoe? Have any clue? In a trance, she mumbled, looking wildly all around in his golden locks. With shaking fingers, she fumbled. Then she cried like never before, cried harder and louder than ever before, cried for them, cried for what was left of them, cried like never before, clutched the football and the doll to her breast and cried like never before. Unheard went her screams and cries like never before. Litany for peace. Pick up a rock, set it down. Pick up a rock, set it down. Backs bowed, eyes to ground, set it down. Eyes to ground become embers, inflame the underbrush, set it down. Lit underbrush, hot brush, cracks open forests, set it down. Across the field, we can only watch. We each have a right to exist. We live our lives on cold streets, crave homes of our own. No school, no hospital, no ministry of justice is impervious to flame. Set it down. Set it down. Set it down now. Body language. Dr. Vanilla Dowdy's enchanted. In his dreams, she would find safety beside him, would ignore the flash of passing strangers and darkened storefronts. In his dreams, he would go into her place, turn a single lock, enter the plush darkness of her apartment, and he'd easily draw her to him, without her turning quickly to light a small lamp, to glance over and through the clear vinyl shower curtain, and draw the deadbolt, push the latch, slip close the chain, give a slight push for good measure. In his dreams on this warm night, they'd wander out onto her back porch, her face washed in silver by the full moon. And when he'd stroke her white cheek, she wouldn't flinch. And when he nuzzled the nape of her neck, all that he'd feel would be the soft syllable, "Oh," without the slight stiffening and soft sigh. In his dreams, he could offer her night's endless possibilities, and she would stroke him till her heart was more than full. a child across the rubble, and an emaciated cat and an orphan huddle under the sky, the world immune to their trouble. A 10-year-old boy, bruised and battered, lies on the hospital bed, his worried father's hand on his head. He clutches his dream to his chest and smiles through his tears. A plane flies overhead. In her heart, the mother suffers a pain fierce. I will soon get well and become a doctor to heal the ailing humanity. He mumbles. A tiny face breaks into a pained smile. Outside the hospital, alas, unrelenting inhumanity thrashes and bludgeons humanity. The child smiles and smiles. The parents watch, beguiled. Dan finishes this whole group with, "Come and go happy. Come to me, my world travelers, to share peace as the everlasting value grows. Come happy, overcome what may come. Hardship, poverty, violence, and discrimination, as they've always been there. Show your hands and we can hug. Hug to get rid of all the dirty bugs. Injustice, wars, and hypocrisy. Hug to warm all the hearts longing to be free. Hug to share your power of love. Hug to show your truest self. The world is too large. Our peaceful world is small. Come together. Enlarge our spiritual strength. Enhance our righteous cause. Encounter the evil. Encase the devils. Endamage the gutter. Encourage the unprivileged. Engage in justice for you and me. Life is not life without it. We are human. And only when we think we are human, we can go